Welcome back, it's DestinysJesus here. In today's video, I'm showing you what I learned from this first solo cash cup of the season. Before we get into this video showing what I learned from the opens and from almost making money in the finals, let me tell you guys about Dropmaster. Dropmaster is a new bot and course that I've launched that is able to make any pro player's drop map within 5 minutes. From that, you're going to have the exact marker to jump for, and you're going to have the exact time to jump out of any bus path that you draw. So you'll have the fastest glides in, you'll have the pro's exact drop map itself, and that means that you're going to be landing first. And along with that, I've gone ahead and created over a dozen videos on how to drop in, how to dominate any type of fight or spawn in solos, duos, multiple different third parties, and a thing about making the optimal early game plan for yourself, and how to predict zones. Basically everything you need on dominating off spawn and having good success in this game. As you can see, this is how the program works. You simply just draw on a line, and this is the Aqua's drop map here. Probably shouldn't have leaked most of it, but then you click find best drop and it tells you exactly when to jump out the bus and exactly what marker to hit. It is such a good program. Make sure you guys go check it out down below. All right, let's get straight into the video. So first things first, let's get into the differences between the opens of this season compared to last season. So obviously a lot more people qualify now, 7.5k, which is actually fairly easy to qualify, but I still knew a lot of even pros that didn't qualify for this, mainly because they didn't understand that you had to actually play endgame. What I'd really recommend doing is W-king a little bit first game. Like you can see here, I've got around 7 kills, I've got pretty good loot going into endgame, but what I decided to do was slow down my W-king and just focus on getting as good mats as possible. So I was fighting for extra loot, I had some loot back in Storm that I was able to go for as well. I was basically doing everything in my power to make sure my mats were as good as possible compared to everyone else. You need to make sure that you're at least getting a top 3, ideally a win in your first game, because this is going to be the easiest game by far. There's no elo, so you're going to be a little bit of load of contender players. It's going to be a very easy game. The only way I think that you should be losing this game or not doing as well as possible is because you're trying to fight too hard and get too many mats. What I decided to do was use my mat advantage. I Katanaed up 3 times, and then I took Storm from backside on second moving. So I basically waited for nobody to be up on height. I Katanaed up, popped my slurp, and I was able to just simply double ramp up. I used a lot of mats doing this, which might seem like a bit excessive, but you don't want anybody else to looking up and shooting you. It's also very nice if you take height from backside and then you can look forward and pressure people like I'm doing here, just so nobody can come up. And I was basically going to have an uncontested high ground my entire first game of opens. One thing I will say when you're playing high like this is people are going to come up and you need to try to get some damage on them and then just keep on playing your heal advantage. It's fine not to win your first game, but just honestly try, if you're trying to play high, is to get some damage onto people. As you can see, it's what I do. Get some damage onto people, force them down, and I was able to win the game really simply just from sitting up on high. Now as we come to first moving here, a lot of players make the mistake of trying to do this whole rotate in one go, and it is actually fairly easy to do in one go, but not when you're completely backside. So what I did was Katanaed once and then paused on these old builds here, as you can see. The reason I'm doing this is because now I can wait for my Katana charge to be ready again. So once I've got 3, I'm able to continue going and actually use all 3, getting to a really good position down on low ground, as you can see here. I get down to low ground, I'm basically in a chilling spot right here where I can maybe look for a kill, and I can actually just go ahead and wait for next zone. The reason why this is so effective is because I'm almost on dead side, as you can see. I'm a little bit further in than most people. And also I'm on complete edge of Storm, so there's nobody to my right or to my north, as you can see, which means that on the next zone pull, I've got an extremely free rotate. One really big thing I'd recommend when you're doing these Katana rotates is just having an edge of zone that you can always rotate out of. The one thing though is you probably should rotate before I did right here. I wait for Storm to catch me to actually take some ticks, which I was fine with at the time because I had a slurp juice I could just pop. I had 4 of them, but in hindsight, I probably should have taken those extra ticks because it means that Storm sickness is going to hit you. I go ahead and box up, chilling now at this point. One very big thing that I'm doing throughout this entire game is I'm actually saving game time. So I've got a pizza for later, and I've also gone ahead and got a 3 splashes that I can use at any point. This right here is a pretty much perfect example of how you should Katana rotate in a solo endgame. So you can see I'm on edge of Storms, there's nobody out to my right hand side, so I'm going to edit out the right here. Never edit out the front of your box or the top of your box into a load of other people, always do it out the side of your box. Maybe go around a second before I did. I was happy with taking Storm because I had a slurp juice that I could use, but maybe just go a second before if you don't want to waste your whites. And I go ahead and go up once. I spot there's a whole load of builds here, and I don't want to be going straight underneath height. It's very important to be aware of where height is. Height is tarping on the left top hand side of the zone right now. So what I go ahead and do is wait a second, fall down, then I Katana again, as you can see, and I get into a really nice position here on a nice high layer. And most importantly, I'm ahead of these other people, as you can see. Now I've just got a tarp in one box, which is exactly what I go ahead and do. Tarp in one box, have a 2x1, pop a slurp, and then now I'm in a really good position going into final moving. Now as you come to final moving here, I go ahead and play this fairly well, I would say. I go ahead and drop down from height, so I'm not going to get fought by somebody. I get towards these old builds that I can sort of play around in. I can tarp through and use them as protection. I get a nice refresh here on backside of zone. Unfortunately, I go ahead and tank a bit of storm as I pick up the mats, since I wanted to leave the slurp juice there. Now I go ahead and continue forward, but all these little bits of storm damage that affect storm sickness are going to cost me in a second. It's just that small thing on mid game, and also there's just a couple times where I took storm where I'm tanking. Normally this would be completely fine, but as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and start playing game time. So I leave it back in storm, I leave all my heals back in storm, continue tarping for as long as possible. Now some guys hopping in my box, so I run back in storm, and I'll just let you watch how tragic this is. No, the storm sickness is going to take me out, boys. Boys, the storm sickness is going to kill the Deej. No. No, the earnings are going. No.
About to win again.
Who was that?
I'm about winning it. Top 4. No. Fucking storm sick, mate.
This game is a joke.